I get a lot of questions about the text of the Bible. People watch debates and reach out to me to determine which side was right, or what I have to say about the debate when they send me the link to watch. I believe this video will help with how to read the text and also any book, I think. I have written 8 commentaries on various books of the Bible, so I think I can share some basics. Biblical authority is tied inseparably to the author's intention. We have a human author, so we must consider what the human author intended to communicate if we want to understand the message. 2 voices speak according to biblical tradition, but the human author is our doorway into the room of the deity's meaning and message. That means that when we read Genesis, we are reading an ancient document and should begin by using only the assumptions that will be appropriate for the ancient world. This is one mistake that most people make. I listen to debates all the time, and those arguing for and those arguing against make the same mistakes. We must understand how the ancients thought and what ideas underlay their communication. In one sense, every successful act of communication is accomplished by various degrees of accommodation on the part of the communicator, but only for the sake of the audience that he or she has in mind is important. Accommodation must bridge the gap if communicator and audience do not share the same language, the same command of language, the same culture, or the same experiences. But we do not expect a communicator to accommodate an audience that he or she does not know or anticipate. We break communication down into high and low. Let's take the high first. High context communication is communication that takes place between insiders in situation in which the communicator and audience share much in common. In such situations, less accommodation is necessary for effective communication to take place, and therefore, much might be left unsaid that an outsider might need in order to fully understand the communication. I wake up early in the morning for work, for example, wanting to beat the traffic. I turn on the TV to listen to the traffic reports. The references to times of travel and locations of problems by the reporter assume that the listener, which is me, has intimate knowledge of the highways. As a regular commuter, I find the traffic reports that offer times of travel from various points and identification of stretches where one might encounter congestion to be very meaningful. When it is reported that it is a 40-minute trip from the spaghetti bowl to the strip, I know exactly what to expect. That is bad. I would take the 215 instead of the 95. When out-of-town guests visit, however, this information only confuses them, like it did you. They do not know what the strip or spaghetti bowl is. They don't know how far these places are from one another. And they don't know that on a good day, one can go from the spaghetti bowl to the strip in about 10 minutes or less. By contrast, in low context communication, high levels of accommodations are necessary as an insider, which in this case is the reporter, attempts communication with an outsider. A low context traffic report would have to identify local landmarks and normal traffic times between them for out-of-town listeners or inexperienced commuters. These will be much longer reports. If the traffic reporter made the report understandable to the out-of-town visitor, it will seem endless and unknowing to me, the regular commuter, that it seeks to serve. I'll even call the reporter a novice. The author of the Bible accommodates the immediate audience in a high context communication appropriate to the audience. So, for example, a prophet and his audience share a history, a culture, a language, and the experiences of their coexisting lives. When we read the Bible, we enter the context of that communication as low context outsiders who need to use all our inferential tools to discern the nature of the communicator's style and meaning. We have to use research to fill in all the information that will not have to be said by the prophet in his high context communication to his audience. This is how we, as modern readers, must interact with an ancient text. Most people fail to do this. Most pastors and teachers of the text fail to do this. When this is done, most of the questions people have or debate on vanishes into thin air because we gain clarity seeing it from the author's perspective. Okay, I think this is clear enough. I'm going to get out of here and go get some red for lunch. Now, when I said red, if you're thinking that is a color, you're mistaken. You have to put it into the context. Now you have to put it into the context of a Ghanaian who knows that red is beans with fried plantain. You see how that deceives or seems to deceive if not put in the right context. That is what is required of any student of the ancient text of the Bible. Shalom.